here for 64K and welcome to another episode of Top 10s.
Welcome to 64K, hosted by Bastish B.
And welcome back. I'm sure you've seen by the title, this is actually a top 40. This is my top 40 Commodore 64 game covers. I've narrowed this down from a list of just over 120, so I've axed out a lot of ones I really love. I couldn't do less than 40, so bear in mind there's a lot of awesome covers that are not on this list. Also, I'm sticking to the classic era of Commodore 64 releases from 1982-ish right up to about 93, when the last of the kind of real physical box games came out. So I'm eliminating any of the new releases because that's like kind of a whole video unto itself. There's been so many of the last at least 10 years, never mind even before that, so that's just too many to even consider. Also for this list, I'm eliminating any movie license games because the covers are usually just variations on the movie poster, or it is the movie poster. So this list is made up of a little bit more original stuff. And without further ado, let's get on with this video.
Number 40.
Okay, so first up is the game Parallax, released by Ocean. This cover is just absolutely amazing. I love the way the word parallax is at that kind of angle, and you can see the shadow beneath it, which is actually a gameplay element where you can actually go underneath and over certain structures, so it actually plays into the actual game very subtly. The spaceship itself is just beautiful looking. It's basically just an F-14 Tomcat with massive laser guns on it. I love the way the laser is shooting past the ocean sign there. I love it when they like overlay things, it just looks super cool. And whoever thought pink in a poster could be awesome.
Number 39.
And next up is Maniac Mansion by Lucasfilm Games. I love the colors in this cover. They could have gone just like total black and grey darkness to, show up the horror element of this, but they kept it like with this purple and blue color just to show like the kind of whimsical comedy element, so it doesn't get too dark. I think it was a clever choice. The Maniac Mansion sign in yellow just like pops out. It looks super cool. I like the way you can see the comet, the mansion, and the trees almost exactly the same as the intro for the game, and it leaves a lot of intrigue as to what's going on. The way the characters are all posed in the front there, you can see each one has a certain attitude which plays an important part in the gameplay, so another clever little choice there. And that creepy dude in the background laughing, that is just creepy.
Number 38.
Okay, next is this awesome cover for Rick Dangerous, released by Firebird, which is a fantastic little game. This cover is obviously an ode to Indiana Jones, especially Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can see like there on the right bottom corner there, those blue like kind of statue things, and those native guys, they look like it's a still frame from Raiders of the Lost Ark that they drew over, but those guys look exactly the same. I like the mysterious guy dressed in black in the middle there in the background. Not sure who he's supposed to represent in the game, but it just looks cool. Rick himself is kitted out really well. He looks exactly like he does in the game. Obviously he's not short and deformed like he looks in the game, but he looks normal. But I like the fact that they show his weapons, which are actually used in the game. Usually these covers just go off the rails and just put anything. He's got the gun, and if you look carefully on his belt, he's got a few sticks of dynamite there, which he used to like blow up and stuff. And the way the Firebird logo there in the bottom left corner, I like the way it's gold. It kind of blends in with like the statues and looking for like lost treasure, so I thought that was a really cool idea. Overall, I think it's just awesome. It's much better than this other monstrosity of a cover which they made. I don't even know what they were thinking with this. The less said about it, the better.
Number 37.
And next we got the cover for Ye Are Kung Fu 2, released by Imagine. So this game is absolutely garbage, but this cover is just super cool. I love the old original one just like anybody else, but this one for whatever reason just appeals to me way more. I love the use of the colors, the green and the yellow and the red. They all just kind of like mash together, and it just makes you look at it. Like if you saw it on the shelf, you're just immediately drawn to it, which is exactly what happened to me. And I like the way the characters are drawn. They look really detailed. The bad guy in the background there at the top, he looks like Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon, but regardless, he looks super sinister. And the way the main character looks, he looks like Bruce Lee, the way he's posed. He just looks super cool. He looks like he's like a deadly dude. And the way the Imagine logo is going under his arm there as he's posing, I just love that kind of imagery. This one is just one that just you just can't take your eyes off. It just grabs your attention. I think it's just because of the colors just drag you in, and the artwork is just done phenomenally.
Number 36.
And next we got the game Tusker by System 3. This is very much like a Last Ninja kind of game. I love the way this one's composed. The guy's hand is coming through like the hole in the wall. He's about to grab the scroll which he's after. It says one man's dream, one man's destiny. So this is obviously, some important information he needs to get to where he's going. And he can't read that yet, but he's just like putting his hand in and hoping he can grab it. I like the fact that he obviously can't see that there's like these deadly centipedes on it, so it just makes like the danger element all like the more intense. I love the way the logo up top there, Tusker, the T looks like a tusk of an elephant. If I remember correctly, the game, your goal is to find the elephant graveyard where all the ivory is. At least that's what I used to remember about it. It's a cool game, by the way. You should check it out. I think this cover managed to be really simple and basic, but it gives a lot of intrigue, and that's what you want in a cover, to bring you in, to draw you to the game and make you want to play it to see what's going to happen.
Number 35.
And next we got the game Shadowfire by Beyond. I love the look of this one. It looks like a kind of a Dino De Laurentiis 1970s science fiction movie, so in the late 70s to early 80s. It's just got that kind of composure about it, like Flash Gordon, the one from the early 80s. That's what it looks like. It looks super cool. It's got this really hot looking girl in the blue one piece right up front, so it grabs your attention immediately with a little laser gun. I like the way her leg is going over the Shadowfire logo. Like I said earlier, I love that kind of imagery. It's got all her teammates right by her, which looks super cool. They're all extremely diverse looking, just like in the game, so it represents that well. You got the big bad guy, the Thanos looking mofo in the background, and above him it's got that big kind of silver spaceship, which looks awesome. And because this is a science fiction game, the Beyond logo just matches in with it even more than usual. It's got that yellow kind of planet, that's their logo, so it kind of matches in with the way they've used the red and the yellow in the bottom parts of the cover. And that golden robot in the bottom left corner there, which is the Beyond kind of mascot, he fits in here extremely well now as well. This is a science fiction game, so everything just comes together perfectly. If I saw this on the shelf back in the day, I would have bought this game immediately. It's pretty damn good, and a far cry from this horrible monstrosity that I believe is the US version of the cover, which looks like it was drawn by a bunch of 5-year-olds. The artwork is just awful. Let's just forget about this and go back to this beauty over here and revel in it.
Number 34.
Okay, next is Athena. This is an old SNK arcade game. This conversion to the C64 was pretty dire, but this is about the covers. So this one is a Bob Wakelin cover. He did so many classics on like the old 8-bit and 16-bit games. He was a master. I try to make this list as diverse as possible, so I've kept Bob Wakelin stuff to like an average, so it's not too much. Otherwise this could have easily just been 50 of his covers or 40 of his covers or whatever easily. This one you got athletic Athena there in a red bikini, like chopping into this Minotaur's horn at the top of his head there with a sword. Make that a flaming sword, which makes it even cooler. I just love that. And she's about to pummel him in the head with a morning star as well. If that creepy tree in the background didn't put its branch around her and trying to stop her. Those things are from the game, and obviously the Minotaur, so it all works in pretty well. She goes to the forest in the beginning level, so that works in with the game as well. That Athena kind of logo in the background looks super cool. I love the way it's like jutting out of the scenery there, and the artwork is just amazing. It's just, this is like, you could make a massive poster of this and put it on your wall. It'll be super cool. Yeah, I just love this one. There are a few more Bob Wakelin covers. I'm not going to mention him again because otherwise it's going to be too repetitive, but you'll know the artwork when you see it.
Number 33.
And yeah, we got the cover for Saboteur 2 by Durrell. This one is super cool. I just love it. I like the fact that it incorporates everything from the game all in one shot. You got the kind of hang glider flying in there. That's how you start the game. There's a massive explosion, and you see there's a rocket going off. You got to actually stop that rocket from launching. And then there's the girl on the motorbike. She's the ninja. I think in Japan they call it a kunoichi, Japanese female ninja, and she's riding her bike, like escaping. You also got to escape in the game. So this thing incorporates all the elements of the actual game. Again, this is kind of not very common. Most game covers just do any garbage on the front. Usually didn't have anything to do with the game, not much anyway, so this is cool. The artwork is quite good as well. It was also pretty rare to see a female main character on a cover. Although we just looked at Athena, these are few and far between. And this is also a very rare occasion where the UK box art and the US box art are both pretty damn good. That usually never happens, it's always one way or the other. So with this US box art, you can see a dude on the motorbike, he's slicing into he's about to slice into a panther, Black Panther. Those things attack you in the game all the time. The motorbike also you escape in, so that's pretty cool. Even though it puts a male character on the cover, which is not correct, it's actually a female character you play. They were obviously scared to do that back then for sales, and I read something about that a long time ago, so I think it's pretty lame. But art-wise, I think it's really a really good cover. It's almost as good as the UK one. So this is a rare occasion where both covers actually turned out well. This really doesn't happen often.
Number 32.
Okay, yeah, we got The Staff of Karnath by Ultimate Play the Game. Their covers were always extremely unique. Like, they had their own specific art style. Even their boxes had their own style. All of them, all the Commodore 64 versions at least. I'm not sure about the other systems. They were in this kind of brown box that almost looked like it was some sort of relic. It was really it looked weird and old, even though it was a new game back then. I think it was meant to be you were finding something, some mysterious thing. That's the kind of vibe they were giving off. I love the borders of all their covers as well. It'll have some sort of weird design related to the game. You got these little claws holding these orbs, magic orb things. The lightning shooting down past the castle. I love that. Was one of those covers where I looked at it and I was wondering what was going on inside their castle. This was one of those games that I totally bought just solely based on the cover. I didn't know anything about the game. And after a few years after owning this game, I finally actually realized that there was a little wizard on the bridge there. I totally did not notice that ever. And he's either absorbing the lightning or shooting it out. I'm not really sure. It's so small and insignificant, but it just, once you find it, it's whoa, that's cool. And I also like the way the font of the Staff of Karnath is with gold and blue. It just adds that mystery again. So this is one that I totally I like because of the whole mysterious element of it. I think it just draws you in. Art-wise, it's not the best art in the world, but it has its own unique flavor. And Ultimate, they definitely made their own kind of style, and I appreciate that.
Number 31.
Next we got Vindicator. This was released by Imagine. So this is one of these weird computer-only sequels to an arcade game. It was initially considered a sequel to Green Beret, so as you can see, Green Beret 2. They later removed that, I'm not really sure why, and the game just became called The Vindicator, but initially that's what it looked like. So this is what the cover eventually became. It became The Vindicator. It looks exactly the same, except the Green Beret 2 is just removed. Maybe it was some sort of issue there, licensing. Maybe they thought they could do a sequel for computer because Imagine did do Green Beret conversion. I'm not really sure, but regardless, this game's set in the future. As you can see, it's got a commando looking guy like Arnold on the cover with the racks of bullets and the massive gun and the ripped clothes. You can see this massive robot in the background, bits of it or whatever it's supposed to be. It's just completely destroyed with the smoke billowing out everywhere. And the way the Vindicator sign is, the logo, it's got that blue kind of black and white kind of look. It kind of looks like the ocean logo. That's what makes it stand out to me. This game was pretty cool. It was super difficult. I haven't played it since the 80s. I never managed to get very far in it. I'll have to look back on it and see if it was as good as I remember, but I enjoyed it anyway. But this cover just pops out in such an 80s way.
Number 30.
And here's the cover for Mega Apocalypse. This is a cool shoot 'em up game. This cover is just ultra cool. I remember when I first saw it in an advert in a magazine, and I was just like, I gotta get this game. I love the fact that it shows the two spaceships. This game is either 1 or 2 player, so subtly it's displaying the fact that you can play this 2-player if you know the game. The ships look exactly the same, they're like these weird triangle things, so I like that effect. When I looked at this initially, I always thought it was another spaceship you got to fight or something, but if you think about it, it's actually just the 2-player option, and you see the massive planet exploding in the background, or moon, or asteroid, whatever the heck they are. In the game, they just throw these things at you and you just gotta blast the hell out of them. You can see the guy in the cockpit, he's got his fist clenched, like he's super excited that he destroyed it. I just thought they were super funny back in the day. The Mega Apocalypse logo is just jutting out like that. It lives up to its name, just the way the logo looks. Such a good cover. This is one, when I saw it in a magazine, I just had to get the game, so it just sold me immediately, and it represents the game really well.
Number 29.
And here we got Neuromancer, which was released by Interplay. So this is a really strange looking cover. It always stuck out to me because it looks so completely different to anything else that was out there. So if you look at the cover, it represents the game really well, and I like the way it's designed. I like the use of the blue and the kind of white and the black. It just all mashes together really well. It's like a shot of somebody's face, and it's all half digitized, which plays into the whole cyberpunk aspect. But it looks like the guy's being scanned in some sort of scanner, whether it's in the hospital or he's going through some sort of x-ray, and you can see that he's just full of implants. You can see wires running all through him, and his eyes have been augmented, and everything is just all digital, which is exactly what the game is all about. It's based on a William Gibson novel. If you don't know, I actually read the novel back in the day, so I had some sort of idea what it was about. Even though the game doesn't stick to the plot that much, it's got all the ideas of it, and underneath the title there it says a cyberpunk role-playing adventure. That just totally sold me on this game, because there was just nothing else out there like that on the C64 anyway. I think it's just a cool cover. It's just a weird piece of art that I just love.
Number 28.
And here we got Sanction by Thalamus. As you can see, this is Thalamus's design through and through of their kind of covers. You've got a lot of white that represents Thalamus with the logo down the side there on the right. It looks really nice, and the use of color in this cover just is so good. I love the whole colorful rainbow look of the Sanction name. It just looks nice, and also up in the sky you can see it's all different colors of a rainbow almost, and then the ship is flying down over some buildings, and obviously there's some TIE fighters in the background for no apparent reason, and they're shooting the hell out of everything. They're trying to hit the ship. It just looks awesome. The ship design itself looks amazing too. I love the fact that it's got those two big guns on the side. It looks like a little crab trying to grab something, but it's just blasting the hell out of everything. And it's also got two cockpits, which I thought was super cool back in the day. How do you even fly this thing? You need two people. It's just, I don't know, it just fuels the imagination. Also like in the bottom right corner there that it gives a shout out to the actual creator of the game, Stavros Vasalis. I like the fact that when they do that on covers, it's nice representation of who worked on this game really hard. And here's a quick look at the US release art. It's not as good, obviously. It's not a bad cover though. It's nothing terrible. It just doesn't come across as good as the UK one though. The TIE fighters have obviously been replaced. They probably didn't want to get sued. The building in the background looks very generic, just like normal skyscrapers. It doesn't have any science fiction aspect to it, which I thought was weird. And the picture is way small because they've got all the logos of Electronic Arts and all that who distributed it in the US, all that around the side. It just doesn't make the cover pop out as much as the Thalamus one. But anyway, this one is just great looking. This is another one of these ones that you can just blow it up and put a massive poster on the wall and it'll be awesome to look at.
Number 27.
And here's the RPG racing game kind of hybrid thing that is Auto Duel, which was released by Origin Systems. I saw this in multiple magazines, this kind of advert, and it made me want to get it, obviously. It spoke to me on every level. Knight Rider was a massive hit of a TV show at the time, so seeing anything with a cool car that could do special things like this one, you can see it shooting a flamethrower. Well, it has a flamethrower out the back. It's busy burning up this yellow car, and you can see the driver. He looks super cool. He's got almost like a Power Rangers kind of outfit with a cool helmet. He means the business. And looking at this now in retrospect, you can also see that the guy in the car has flames outside his window. It would almost indicate that he is, or you are, the guy inside the yellow car and you're getting attacked by this other dude. Maybe that red pink thing's supposed to be the main bad guy or something. So kind of a bit of a different aspect of it that I never thought about until re-looking at this. Overall though, it just captures that Mad Max vibe, and I think it's an awesome cover.
Number 26.
And here's the cover for Infiltrator. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. Ever since seeing it in an issue of Commodore User magazine, I immediately went to the local video game shop and I actually managed to find it. It was on the shelf and I bought it immediately. So many things to like about it. It's got the dude, the pilot, he's like in a spacesuit almost. It just shows you how advanced the helicopter was supposed to be. I like that. I like that idea. You never really get to see him in a suit in the game. That's because it's from first person when you're inside the helicopter, so he could totally be wearing that. The helicopter looks pretty cool also. It's none of the actual covers of this game get the helicopter totally right, but this is probably the closest. I like the big explosion it's flying out of. And if you look in his visor there, you can see like an explosion and another helicopter. It's like he's having a fight or whatever. I like that look of it, even though you don't actually see any other helicopters. You only see a few fighter jets which you can take out. A little bit misleading, but no big deal. I like this. It's just a very cool representation of it. And if you look below the logo, it said the game that rocked America. I always loved that tagline. It just sounded so cool. I was like, well, if this game was cool in America, it's got to be cool everywhere, right? And if you look at the logo up top, obviously we've seen this like many times already on this list. It's got the old ocean kind of vibe, you know, the triple color thing. They used that so much in the 80s. I think it was more like a UK design, because you never really saw it on US box art. Speaking of US box art, let's have a quick look at that. Obviously this one is terrible. I don't like this at all. It doesn't feel like the game that you actually play. Nothing takes place at night in the game, so it's just weird. The helicopter looks really out of proportion. The size is just odd. Also, the pilot is drawn very amateur style. I think I could have done a better job at it. And if you look up at the logo too, it's in like neon. It doesn't match up with the game style at all whatsoever. This is just another weird piece of box art. And another weird one was the Nintendo one, the NES. I don't like this one at all. It does get some of the elements of the game right. You know, you're being chased by the jets there, that sort of stuff. The helicopter does not look like a helicopter. It looks like a UFO with some sort of rotor on the top. It looks super bizarre. You know, just more weirdness. Again, missed the mark on it. I think the original UK one, although it doesn't represent the game totally, it just looks super cool and it's probably the best of the bunch.
Number 25.
And next up is Impossible Mission, released by Epix. Epix had a very distinct style in their covers in the early 80s, and this was no exception. All their covers were done in this kind of neon style, and you could just tell immediately that it was an Epix game by just looking at the cover. So I think that made it kind of special. You know, you could just tell that you were going to be in for a good time, because Epix, generally speaking, made really quality games. This one, you can see in the left, you can see your hero, and on the right has got Elvin, Atom Bender. He's in the blue and you got the robot below him. I like the way the robot's drawn like over each other, so it looks like it's animated almost. You can get the sense of how they move around. And there's a big nuclear explosion in the background with the rockets. The goal of the game is to stop Elvin from launching some nukes, so it all ties together really well. I like the simplicity of this one. It doesn't try to get too complicated. It's got some major aspects of the game. You don't know what type of game it is, which leaves a little bit of mystery, which I always like, but you can get a sense that it's going to be a pretty fun ride, and it's 1,000 times better than this monstrosity of a Master System cover that has like John McClane doing a somersault here. I don't know what's going on here. It's got elements of the game, but it's just weird.
Number 24.
And here we got Times of Law, released by Origin Systems. This is a cool action RPG. This is another one of those covers, just like Impossible Mission, where its simplicity just makes it very appealing. I like the fact that the hero, the barbarian guy, walking out of this dungeon place and the doors have just opened and you can just see off into the distance on the big adventure that you're about to undertake. You can see like there's like a kind of rocky desert area, then it goes into a forest area, and then far off in the distance is a big massive castle, and then even further behind that is snow-capped mountains. Just give you a sense that this is a big epic adventure that you're about to explore, which the game is. It has all those elements. I think they chose the barbarian, even though you can choose multiple characters in this game. He's probably like the character that most people would choose, and they also show him from behind, which is clever, which you don't get to see his face, because like you are the character, so it gives it more of a sense that you gain out on this adventure. And at the top there, the Times of Law, the way it's written in that old-timey kind of font And yes, again, the good old ocean logo thing makes its appearance, this triple color vibe, but this time it's in like a gold color, which I think is a clever idea because, you know, when you go out on adventures, you're looking for treasure, and it just gives you that old kind of treasure hunting feel. This whole cover is just done really well.
Number 23.
And here's the cover for Game Over, released by Imagine, the side-scrolling run-and-gun kind of game. So this cover was really controversial at the time. This was the initial cover that came out, and it was replaced pretty quickly with another one. The reason being is that obviously you can see the girl's nipple there. It's half exposed. This was way before Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake made the nipple thing an issue. So yeah, the cover was quickly swapped out, and this is the censored version. Nipples are fully covered. Does this represent the game very well? Sort of, I guess. The dude in the background with the gun, it kind of looks like the guy from the game, although I haven't played the game since the 80s. I've never revisited it. It was super difficult. I don't remember there being a girl in the game, but obviously for this advertising, it just works really well. I mean, as a young boy, this definitely caught my attention, made me want to investigate more. The artwork is done phenomenally. I remember reading back in the day, I'm not sure if it's true, that this was just an art piece of artwork from a science fiction magazine. It didn't really have anything to do with the game. They just managed to buy it. I'm not sure if that's true or not. If anybody knows, just leave it in the comments. But regardless, the artwork is absolutely gorgeous. It just is so detailed and well drawn that it's worth checking out anyway. I also like the way the Game Over font is drawn. It's kind of done in that Star Trek The Next Generation logo kind of thing, so it gives it that science fiction vibe immediately. Just a fantastic piece of artwork in general.
Number 22.
And yeah, it's Rastan by Imagine. It's a conversion of a Taito arcade game. The Commodore 64 version wasn't very good, to be honest. I played it a lot back in the day, but it's not a good game really. The music is phenomenal though. This cover, on the other hand, is absolutely insanely good. It's drawn so well. It's got pure half fantasy kind of vibes all over the place. With the barbarian guy, Rastan, he's got like a sword and shield, and he's about to swing that axe right into that lizard man. Those lizard man things attack you every 5 seconds in the game. They're really annoying. That just makes it more satisfying as it's about to plant an axe right in that thing's chest. Both characters are drawn exceptionally well. Rastan looks exactly like he does in the game. I like the logo up top. It's got that gold metallic look, again, like gold representing like kind of going on an adventure, and it also looks very metallic, which is cool. It mixes in with the weapons. You can see a sword and shield, a flaming sword under the logo there, which is even cooler. Obviously flaming swords are cooler. Overall, this is just one of those like kind of 70s throwbacks to like fantasy art that just looks phenomenal, and if you never knew anything about the game, you definitely wanted to play it.
Number 21.
And next we got The Legend of Black Silver, released by Epix. This is a really classic RPG which I played and loved. This cover obviously is a homage to Conan the Barbarian, and just like movie style ones in general. These are the ones I like the most. They have all elements of different things all around them. You got the guys riding on the horses with the castle in the background. That looks pretty much like a still frame from Conan the Destroyer when they riding away from that city near the beginning of the movie. I think it is. They've drawn over it or something. The Conan looking dude looks super cool. That sword is absolutely massive. Look how big it is. Got a giant worm thing in the background there on the left. Those are like weird creatures you fight in the game anyway, like all worms and all kinds of crazy stuff. You got like a volcano erupting there, which just adds a bit of like color to the whole thing. You got the weird dude in the sky. I don't know who that's supposed to represent, maybe the main bad guy, I don't remember. But the lightning is coming down, you've got a full moon, so you've got everything crazy going. You've got the princess in the bottom left corner there. Overall, it just mashes all elements of fantasy and adventure all into one. This could make a brilliant movie poster if they made a movie out of it. The Legend of Black Silver, the font up there, I just refer to that as like kind of pirate font. Kind of looks like a pirate thing, and pirates represent adventure and treasure as usual. So this all mashes together perfectly to give you that sense of adventure.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm more alive than ever before. What happened to my Commodore 64? My friends are knocking down my door to get into my Commodore 64.
It's mind-boggling. Commodore 64 lets you play hundreds more games than any video machine, plus draw, program, even do music.
More alive than ever before. When my friends are knocking down my door. 'Cause now we're into so much more. We're into our Commodore 64.
Number 20.
Okay, we finally hit the top 20. This is where things get really serious. And we got the cover for Wasteland, released by Electronic Arts. This is a massive, awesome RPG. Immediately, you can see that this looks like a post-apocalyptic game. You can just see the buildings on each side looked absolutely destroyed. You are like looking down on a situation, so it gives you the sense that you're a player observing what is about to happen on this trashed up street. And there's one lone guy in the middle of the street, which is obviously you. And if you look up the street, you can see a band of like 5 mercenary kind of scumbags. Those are obviously the guys you're gonna go up against. Just like in an RPG, you always fight like a whole party of things all at once, especially in Wasteland. So this represents the game pretty well. I like the long shadows from the sun, which is obviously behind them, and it's like it makes everything feel more deadly. Like these guys are just like stalking onto this guy, and is he gonna survive? The color scheme is awesome. It's like almost gives you that post-nuclear kind of vibe, like everything is radiated or something. And you can see the Wasteland logo. I love the fact that they left it open so it actually goes over the actual picture, so the picture goes through it. It looks brilliant. They later re-released the cover and it looked like this. You can see the Wasteland logo isn't see-through, it's just like a font at the top and the picture is compressed. It's nowhere near as good in my opinion, but at least we still got the original one, which is obviously vastly superior.
Number 19.
And here's Bruce Lee by Datasoft. This one is another one of these kind of movie style ones, which I love so much. This represents the game extremely well, I feel. Getting somebody's likeness right is always a weird thing when it comes to a poster, and whoever drew this just got Bruce Lee down pat. He looks exactly correct. You know, if you get it just a little bit wrong, it always seems weird. I've seen that on many covers before. Even the one where he's posing there, he looks totally cool. He's obviously in the bottom left corner, about to kick a bunch of ninjas, although there's only one ninja that follows you. And you got Bruce and 2 other posers on the right, so kicking the green Yamo guy. He also follows you. He's a total pain. You always have to kick him into something and kill him. And in the far background there, you can see the mountains and a temple. Those are the places you go through in the game, or at least the mountains are in the background. And then you can see Bruce climbing up a ladder there in the top left. You do that obviously all over the place, up to the parapets of the castle, fighting more ninjas. I like the way it's all composed. It just looks cool. The artwork is just cool, and the kind of Chinese font of Bruce Lee just totally like adds in with that like kind of oriental kind of vibe.
Number 18.
And yeah, we got War in Middle Earth, released by Melbourne House. This I feel is a bit of a forgotten gem of a game, but anyway, onto the cover. I really love the color scheme of this. It's really like kind of dark and muddy and really depressing. I want to give you the sense that this is some serious stuff that's going to happen in this game. The guy, the skeleton on the horse, like riding there. The horse has got like red eyes, so you know it's like a demon horse, and the skeleton obviously riding it. It's kind of weird. You know these guys are definitely from Mordor for sure. And up the sides and around the edges of the kind of box, you can see like this cool like intricate drawings. Kind of looks like, you know, those elven doors that Gandalf opens. It's got all that kind of insignia all over the place. It just looks cool. The 2-headed raven bird thing up there is super weird. Just adds to more of the kind of like Middle Earth kind of vibe. The massive font in the middle, like War in Middle Earth, the way it's written in like kind of old-timey English. It looks epic. The rider on the horse looks like it's a piece of like fantasy art that was done for maybe some sort of Lord of the Rings calendar, or even like some sort of book cover or something like that. I'm not sure if this is an original piece of art for this box art. I'm not 100% sure. If anybody knows, just leave a comment. But regardless, it's just super cool, and this is kind of like a strategy war game, so this kind of sort of represents it quite well. You know, there's like some sort of epic journey and something's gonna happen, some sort of battle. Yeah, I just love it. It's very different from all the other covers on this list.
Number 17.
And next we got Rocket Ranger, released by Cinemaware. This is a massive ode to like 1950s and 40s kind of pulp movies and comic books. It's got just every single cliche in there that you can possibly imagine. You got the Rocketeer looking dude flying into the sky with his jetpack. He's obviously just saved this girl, and you can see the girl's got her leg exposed there. That's typical exploitation movie poster style, just to tantalize people back then. And on the right you got the Nazis looking up at the Rocketeer kind of dude, the Rocket Ranger, and they like in disbelief because, you know, they're trying to get hold of that thing. And the left you got the mad scientist pulling some sort of lever. You know, obviously you got to have a mad scientist if you're doing a pulp cover. That's just obligatory in that kind of respect. At the bottom you got this like futuristic city kind of vibe with some zeppelins flying around. In the game you rescue the girl from the zeppelin, so it kind of matches in with it. And I think, if I remember correctly, I haven't played this game in ages, but the Nazis are trying to create some sort of like new kind of future, so that's that future city at the bottom. And if you look it up at the Rocket Ranger font there, it's just pretty basic, but I like the way it's got that little lightning bolt. For me anyway, the lightning bolt that doesn't represent like speed or anything, it represents like kind of radio waves, because in the game you use radio waves to communicate with everything. It's got that kind of look to it, so I think it's a subtle like reference to how the game actually plays. Also the kind of like red and yellow and white sky like represents like, you know, some sort of explosion, something bad's gonna happen. Cinemaware were just masters of this kind of cover, and it obviously fits in with their games. Their games are kind of pulpy in nature anyway. Yeah, there's probably gonna be a few more Cinemaware games coming up pretty soon.
Number 16.
And next up is Hawkeye, another Thalamus game. I had to resist putting like lots of Thalamus games on this list because I just love their kind of art style. Anyway, here's another one, and as usual it's got the kind of white background, which I really like. It kind of like makes the actual artwork pop out way more. I think that's the whole goal of it. It's got the Thalamus logo down the right there as usual. The main guy, Hawkeye, he's like having a meltdown there. He's got like augmented arms, you can see on his wrists. He's got like implants, and on his face too. He's got that little moustache, which actually makes him look like a crazy pirate, which just makes it even more cool. He's obviously just fired and shot something, and he's shouting at somebody like it's, you know, he's in full freak out mode. He's either saying like, you know, the next bullet is coming from my other shotgun or whatever. He's just having a total meltdown. The game is like a side scroller, and you just shoot the crap out of everything. You can see in the background behind Hawkeye, it's got like stone structures and all that. You go through those kind of levels in the game, so that's what that represents. Also like the logo popped up right in front. Hawkeye itself, it's got like all bullet holes in it, and it's all like worn out. Just fits together really well, and just the composure of everything as usual with the Thalamus cover, it just makes it awesome.
Number 15.
And next we've got Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbenders, another Lucasfilm game. As you can see, like the cover represents like kind of an old adventure movie kind of poster, but obviously it's a Lucasfilm game, so humor comes into it big time. And the main character there's Zack, he's posed like a hero, but if you look, he's got like a baguette in his hand and a goldfish in the other. Those are just items from the game. You usually expect it to have weapons. That's the whole joke of the whole thing. You got the girl down to the left there, she's holding one of those cheap disguises. That's what the aliens use in the game to disguise themselves. Zack and his partners can also put that on. There's just everything at the bottom is just littered with items and kind of little bits of story from the game. You got the weird broom, you got the left there at the bottom, you got the newspaper article, Zack's a reporter, you got the alien with like trying to climb out of all that junk, and he's got a hat to the right with little holes in it, which they use to look out while they walk around. The two-headed squirrel from the beginning of the game. It's just jam-packed with humor. I like the background there, that Egyptian temple with those funny little statues, and they're all in the yellow to give the background, you know, just make it like pop out more so you can see the main character. I like that. The Zack McCracken logo also, I like the way it's written. It's kind of like it's a bit fragmented and like falling apart almost. It's like his name, like, you know, it's all cracking up. Just like the game, you know, like the aliens playing on world domination, so you gotta like act now and, you know, save the world kind of thing. I think it's a nice riff on a classic like adventure movie poster, and I think it works really well, as usual with Lucasfilm covers.
Number 14.
And here we got Karateka, released by Broderbund. This is another one of these covers that looks like a classic movie poster. Just love this one. It's so excellent. Everything about it is just brilliant. It represents the game extremely well. You got the big shot there of that Shogun guy, like, you know, it's set in Japan. It's like he's overseen everything, you know, waiting for you to take him on at the end. You can see in the top right there the big Japanese castle with the yellow sun behind it. Looks super cool. The main character, the blonde-headed kung fu dude, he looks totally like something out of a 1980s canon movie, you know, one of those ninja exploitation flicks where they put like Western actors as the main character. That's totally what it looks like. And down below to the left, you know, you've got a side shot of him kicking some sort of karate dude in the chest, you know, just like the game. It's got that exact view, so I really like that. And to the right of the main character, you got the girl, the damsel in distress, the blonde, you know, obviously you got to have that if you're having a classic movie poster. The colors they also use is pretty cool. It's kind of like that muted look, like kind of Raiders of the Lost Ark cover. It's a little bit dirty and a little bit like brown, but it kind of gives you that sense of old style adventure. I love this. I wish they would just start making games with covers like this again, because the modern covers for most games are pretty abysmal, to say the least.
Number 13.
And yeah, we got the cover for Catechus, one of the C64's best shoot 'em ups in my opinion, released by Rainbow Arts. This one is just amazing. I love the ship right at the front there. It's got all those jutted angles around it. You know, the ship in the game is like kind of angular and it's got little wings on it, so it doesn't look exactly like that, but it's you know, it's fairly close, I guess. It's got the little orb up to the right. That's like a thing that goes around your ship, you know, helps protect you and shoots out different fire and can change its direction, stuff like that. So it's got that there, which is cool. In the background you can obviously see some aliens that look like, you know, aliens from the movie Alien franchise. It's blatantly obvious. They're not even trying to disguise it. The one on the right looks like really like more sinister, and it's got its hand outstretched trying to grab the ship. That doesn't happen in the game, but whatever. What's really interesting though is the alien to the left, the one with the half human head and alien mouth. It kind of looks like the main bad guy kind of alien from the movie Alien Resurrection. They came out in the late 90s, 97 or 98, something like that anyway. This game obviously came out in 1988. I don't know, it looks like maybe somebody from the movie production might have seen this, got inspiration. I'm just speculating. It looks almost exactly the same. Also like all the green around everything. It's like got that slimy look and the light coming through the passage. It's kind of like a, you know, like a shoot 'em up. You're always flying through these long passages of slimy things and blowing the hell out of everything, so it looks just like the game, you know, in that kind of style. Great game and really excellent cover.
Number 12.
And next is Dragon Wars, another interplay RPG. I played a lot back in the day. I really like it. It's kind of like a Bard's Tale kind of thing. So this cover is obviously amazing looking. It's like oil painting kind of vibe. I'm not 100% sure, but this kind of whole cover just gives me the sense that this was made before this game ever came out. It looks like a piece of art, you know, from like an old fantasy magazine maybe. I don't really know any history of it, and if anybody does know, just leave a comment as usual. But regardless of whether it was made for the game or not, it is amazing looking. As you can see, the attention to detail is just crazy. The girl and the guy look super cool. They both got swords in their hands and they're about to chop into this bizarre dragon looking thing, and it's coming down out of the shadows. They're obviously in some sort of like volcano or something. You see a fire pit next to them. And what the main characters don't see is that the tail is wrapping around them at the back, you know, by the interplay sign there. So they're in double danger. I like that the light is only coming from the lava and everything else is dark. It gives you that kind of adventure, searching a dungeon kind of thing. Overall, I just love that oil painting kind of look. I think it's amazing. It's such a great cover. One of the best.
Number 11.
And yeah, we got Grazor, released by Ocean. Obviously most people know this as Contra. I used to know it as Grazor. That's the way it was released for European home computers. It's a pretty good conversion to the C64, but this cover is just super cool. It obviously has ridiculous influences, two of them obviously being, as I'm sure you can notice, Aliens and Predator, and I'm totally fine with that because the cover just looks awesome. In the front there you got these little claws that are like coming into the picture over the Ocean sign, and it's got like acid dripping off it is almost like claws from a face hugger from the Alien franchise. Then you got the 2 characters, which I'm assuming is indicating that the game is 2-player. You got the guy on the left, which is blatantly Arnold from Predator. It's like pretty much just a still frame, and they've changed it a little bit. The guy on the right, again, is another still frame from Predator. I'm sure most of you know this already. If you've watched Predator a million times like I have, you just notice that immediately. Here's a little example. As you can see, this is definitely still frames from Predator that have been redrawn. I totally dig it though. It just works for this cover super well. The gun is shooting like this kind of like pulse laser kind of things, just like in the game. And right between the 2 characters, you got like an alien head, which is blatantly an alien head. I like the background too. It's all like kind of like inside some sort of hive kind of thing. You know, the game, you go through all different stages, and I think it represents it quite well. It's obviously really well drawn, as you can see. I just love it. It's very iconic. Also like the big Z in the Grazor name. I love the way that's done. It just pops out like right in your face. Another excellent ocean cover.
Number 10.
And yeah, we got Project Firestart, released by Electronic Arts. This is an excellent game. If you've never played it, please play it. This cover is very simple. It's obviously following on the trend of ripping off aliens, and it's got an alien that almost looks like one of them from one of those movies. He's ripping through the hull of the ship because it takes place on a ship. You can see how thick the hull is. It's massive, and he's just ripping through it like tinfoil, so you know it's like this thing is super, super deadly. It's drawn extremely well. I like the colors, the blue and the black. It's kind of like, you know, maybe all the electronics have been burnt out at this point and it's dark and you're like lost in this place. The logo up top, the fire start, I like that it's in red. It indicates danger. And then you got the project part, which is like almost like one of those rubber stamps that you put on an FBI file if you going on a secret mission, you know, so which is exactly what this is. This was some sort of secret experiment on the spaceship. It went wrong and you got to go and see what happened. So everything about this is very straight to the point and simple. I like it. I think it captures the survival horror essence of the game excellently, and it's brilliant.
Number 9.
And next up is Combat School, released by Ocean. This is based on a Konami arcade game. The C64 conversion is an excellent game. So this is another one of these movie style ones where it just looks like, you know, a massive poster for an upcoming movie. I just love this. I think this is one of the best representations of like a game on a cover. It just has everything in here is exactly like what you experience in the game. You're a soldier going through boot camp. Incidentally, the name of the game in the US is called Boot Camp, in case you're wondering. You got the guy in the middle who's obviously just graduated. You know, he's got all this full-on like army uniform and everything on. But if you look around it, you've got the big American flag, obviously. It's like, you know, American soldier, and you got guys running. That's like one of the events, the first event in the game. And you got a guy to the left, you know, doing some target practice, which is another event. And you got a guy running at the bottom there. These are all like, you know, individual events in the game, so it represents it really well. You know what you're in for. The bottom right corner, you got the drill instructor shouting at you, which is very cool. He's actually in the game as well. You get to face off against him in the last event before you go on your actual mission. Everything about this cover is just done excellently. The artwork is so detailed. I absolutely love it. And here's the US box art, and they use the UK obviously cover for it, but man, they just ruined it completely. Like, they were just sloppy about it. As you can see, it's just a zoomed in shot of the main guy, and the artwork is all chopped up. Like, they didn't even bother framing it properly. Like 50% of the picture is gone. It's so sloppy. If you look in the bottom right corner, you can see part of the drill instructor's hat by the Konami sign. They didn't even bother like overlaying it or going over it properly, so it looks like a mess. The boot camp sign isn't even lined up at the top. It's out of whack. I mean, how hard could it have been just to bring the UK box art onto the US one and just put boot camp over it? Like, that's all you had to do. Ridiculous.
Number 8.
And next is The Last Ninja by System 3. This is a cover that is simplicity at its best. As soon as you look at it, you know you're dealing with a ninja. You don't even have to look at the title. You can just see by the mask, you know, just the eyes peering out. I love the fact that you can't actually see where his mask and the bottom of it or top of it ends, and the background blends in because he's obviously super stealthy and you just can't see him, completely. He's blended in with the background. That's like total ninja style. I thought that's cool. Also, he's sweating at the top there, so he's in an intense situation. He's either waiting to like jump onto somebody or like getting ready for battle, hiding, and with the big R's they're peering out. Also, the way the logo at the top is with the Lost is very small, and then Ninja is massive. I like the fact that the Ninja, it kind of looks like kind of like pieces of bamboo that are bent, hanging down, that sort of thing. It's got that kind of Japanese style, which really lends itself to like the type of game that it is. Absolutely brilliant. The simplicity is what makes it for me. Let's take a quick look at the US one, which I think is quite good. It's not as memorable, but I still like it. It's got that good old traditional movie style tropes in it everywhere. Ninja posing in different situations. Most of the stuff on that front cover is in the game. You don't fight a shogun in a river, but it's whatever. It's just giving you the sense of the adventure ahead. I like it. I don't think it's, again, as memorable as the UK one, but it's a good attempt. And yeah, we got Ultima 5, released by Origin, another Origin cover. This one is super good. I love it. It has everything about it is just super mysterious and makes you want to go on this whatever is happening here, or whatever this adventure is. You want to like see what happens. If you look at the bottom there, it's got like a guy who's like fallen down, and he looks like he's got a magic arrow stuck in his chest. He's dying or he's in a serious situation. And if you look up a little bit, the guy in the red, we've got the Ankh on his back. That's that's the avatar. So he's like standing in front of the guy. He's gonna protect him. He's gonna fight to see if he can stop whatever these three massive cloaked figures are, with their beady eyes staring out. You can see how big they are too. The guy like right next to the avatar there, he's like more than double his size. If you look at him, it's just like super creepy. Like you don't want to go into the woods and see those three dudes coming at you. The woods themselves, you can see it's all dark, and it's got like the light shining on the area which they're in, which is cool, with the mist around it. It's just a great cover. It just instills that sense of like dread and what is going on here. I want to find out. If you look at the top, I have to just laugh about it. It's it's got the Ultima 5 there, but it's the old traditional ocean look. I said earlier that that's relegated mainly to UK games. This is a US game, so I guess it wasn't really, but for the most part the UK games use that trope way more often. The US ones hardly ever used it, but anyway, they've used it here. You got the blue and the white and the black, mashed together. It looks cool though, I like it.
Number 6.
And next we got the return of Cinemaware with Defender the Crown. This is one of my favorites of their covers ever. It is excellent. As you can see, it's just so rich and colorful. The art is really meticulous. It's got a little bit of that kind of painting look to it, which I really like. From the cover, most of the stuff doesn't traditionally happen in this game. It's just giving you a sense of how the like old medieval England kind of vibe. That's what it's all about. In the game you do jousting tournaments. This isn't a jousting tournament though, and you do rescue a damsel in distress, but not like this. You rescue from a castle, not from a horseback while fighting some sort of black knight there. The girl, she's posed very seductively with massive cleavage there. That's totally like in tradition with a kind of this kind of old style of movie poster look, which you would have seen in those old kind of sword and sandal movies back in the 50s and 60s. It has that kind of look to it. Even the bad guy's horse, it's got like a spike on the top and it's lashing out against the white horse. You can see who's the good guy and who's the bad guy there. See a castle in the background, you go and raid and catapult those things like in the games, like a lot, which is cool. I like the scroll effect at the top and the bottom. It's got the credits at the bottom, and then the top scroll has the Obviously the logo, Defender of the Crown, it's written old timey-wimey English. It looks very cool. It's like one of those old kind of history books that they kept records of, you know, like on Game of Thrones or something. And here's just a quick little look at the NES, the Nintendo cover. It's the US one. As usual, they've done this weird approach where they've zoomed in on everything and you miss half the picture. It's also been redrawn for some reason, I'm guessing to censor it. As you can see, the girl is not passed out seductively with massive cleavage. She's actually scared and she's like, you know, she closed up a lot more, and the redrawn stuff, it just doesn't look anywhere near as good as the original. It's like, it's not bad, it just doesn't have that same kind of flavor. The colors are really weird and washed out, and it's not just this picture. I've seen the original. I've actually got the original on NES. The game isn't as good either, by the way. The title at the top is also odd. It's very sloppily done. It's like the crown part is kind of blending in with the sky. You can't even really read it properly. It's just not done very well. It's almost like the combat school boot camp debacle where they've just chopped massive parts of the art out and just slapped on a cover. I don't know why they did this with the US ones. They did that all the time. Very strange. It's like they just couldn't be bothered to make the cover look good. It's just slap anything on there and get it out. It's a bit of a shame. But the original here is just quite brilliant. It just captures Defender of the Crown in a nutshell, just in terms of atmosphere.
Number 5.
And next we got the brilliance that is the Green Beret cover, released by Imagine, based on the Konami arcade game, which goes under the name Russian Attack in the US, in case you're wondering. This is as 80s machismo as you can possibly get. It's everything about the 80s is encapsulated in this cover. It's got the big Rambo kind of dude just going crazy. He's got the massive like machine gun, which you couldn't possibly hold with one hand and keep shooting like that, but who cares? He's holding the bullets with the one and just shells flying out there. He's just going crazy. I don't remember you getting that kind of gun in the game, but who cares? Maybe you do. I just don't remember using that kind of gun. And the guy's literally running through like flaming fire. He just couldn't care less. It's super cool. And the flames are just going up all around the screen. You can see in the background there's a truck with a massive missile and the mountains in the background. That's all from the first level of the game. There's a dude about to take a pot shot at him also, which adds to the danger, but you know, he just doesn't care. You can see bullets are flying past him and he's just running forward, you know, good old Russian attack. The Green Beret logo is very, very cliche, but I couldn't care less. I think it looks cool. It's just the traditional metal with bullet holes in it, which is used a million times, but I like the shininess of it. It looks like, you know, the outside of a tank or something that's been blasted. It just works really well. I like all the yellow in the picture. It's obviously the flames, but it also, you know, it just makes the picture stand out more. So you focus on the main stuff with the yellow, just pushes everything forward. It's a clever technique. I like it when they use that. Now let's just take a quick look at the US box art. This was used for the Nintendo version and the Commodore 64 version in the US. As you can see, it's pretty abysmal. I don't know what's happening here. Now I'm not taking pot shots at US box art versus UK. There's massive examples of both being absolutely abysmal stuff and both having absolutely brilliant stuff. As you can see on this list already, everything by obviously Origin Systems, Cinemaware, Electronic Arts, those are all US companies, and there's so much good box art. I just can't understand why you have an excellent piece of box art like this and then they totally just disregard that and put up this piece of garbage that is drawn so badly. I mean, it's so just mediocre at best. There's no detail anywhere. The guy's gun doesn't, I don't even know what type of gun that's supposed to be. It looks ridiculous. It looks like a Super Nintendo Super Scope, which obviously wasn't out at that point, but still it looks like one. It's like, looks like it's shooting a laser. I'm assuming this is censorship again on Nintendo's part, you know, like they don't want to shoot bullets or something. It just looks dumb. The Commodore 64 cover for the US also has this rubbish cover, so it's a bit of a pity. And then when you flip back to this other one, oh man, it's so much better. This is just the way it should have gone. The insanity of choosing that other one over this beautiful one here is just madness. And at number 4, we've got Barbarian 2, The Dungeon of Drax. This is obviously a sequel to Barbarian. This cover is absolutely awesome. I actually still got this, my original version of this game, this box art. It came in like one of the big kind of boxes that they used to make, and the artwork is phenomenal. So it's a mixture of obviously live action photos and drawings. The creature on the bottom there is actually just a drawing. It's like kind of airbrushed on there. The live action and the drawing just mashed together extremely well. It's such an excellent job. You've obviously got the barbarian girl, you know, I think her name was Maria Whitaker. She was like a cover artist or whatever in the UK. She's obviously looking insanely good looking there. And you got the barbarian dude on top of the beast. You can see the blood on the axe. If you look carefully, that's actually been drawn on the blood, the black blood. It looks cool though. And he's just taken that thing down. She's helped him, and that indicates that, you know, in the game you can actually choose between the two characters. Unlike the first game, you could only be the barbarian. This one you can either choose between the two characters. I also like, you can see they're in some sort of dungeon, just like the name suggests. You go exploring, you go through these dungeons underground and stuff. You can see it represents that pretty well. I like the background. You can see the light coming through from some sort of column. It looks very cool. The lighting on the actors too matches in with everything. I think again they did an excellent job. It's got the scroll at the top. It's kind of like Defender of the Crown. It's, you know, the name's written on like the scroll to indicate, you know, it's old and tattered. This game has a lot of really good promotional artwork, which I'll show also because it's just really excellent. This first one is a brilliant poster. So this actually came with the original version of the game. I used to have this on my wall as a kid. Obviously whenever my friends came into the room, they just stared at this thing, obviously. You can tell why. I kind of wish that this poster was actually used for one of the alternate covers because it's quite excellent as well. I would have loved this to be in a cover for the game. Anyway, I think Palace Software again did another brilliant job with this one. And then when the game was re-released, it had this cover with just the barbarian dude, which I think is also quite good. It's got him just like looking at the camera with the axe ready. It's like saying like, you know, who's next? He's about to kill something else. I like it too. It's good. It represents the game again. And now on to the most abysmal piece of artwork I've ever seen in my life. This is the US version. Again, I'm not bashing it. It's simply is what it is. So Epix brought this game to the US and distributed it, not Palace. Who knows what they were thinking when they made this cover. I think everybody involved should be shot. It's just awful. Like, what is going on here? They renamed the game Acts of Rage, which no problem, sure, whatever. But what is going on with this cover? It's mental. It's got like a hobo dude. Looks like a cover for one of those, you know, kind of hobo fight videos that they brought out in the late 90s, those stupid things with hobos fighting in alleys. That's what it looks like it is. This guy, I'm assuming, is supposed to be the barbarian. He's like shouting like he's in rage, but man, it does not look like he's in rage. It looks like he's just being punched in the gut, and it looks stupid. It is terrible. You get no sense of what this game is like by this cover. It is the most ridiculously bad cover I've ever seen. I think it ranks as one of the worst. I mean, Epix put out some classic covers, like Impossible Mission one we looked at earlier, and so many others, but this is just an absolute piece of garbage. So let's just go back to this one, and wow, greatness, and yeah, another classic cover.
Number 3.
Okay, and now you got Airborne Ranger by Microprose. This is the only Microprose one I got on the list. They made a lot of good covers. I just simply had to be ruthless with the selection here. So I love a lot of the other ones, especially Red Storm Rising. I thought that was great too. So this cover is excellent. As you can see, it does a great job of showcasing the game in all its glory. So you're like a military dude going on a mission, and Airborne Ranger, and you can see the main character there is like takes up a lot of the picture. I think it's cool. He's got all those like insignia on. At top right you can see people parachuting down. In the game you parachute out of a plane to your destination, whichever mission you're going on. And down below you can see a guy, he's kind of like crawling through the trenches there with his gun. You do that to like avoid guards and that in the game. and then he's got like kneeling down and shooting. That's just like, you know, showing you a bit of the action element of it. And the bottom there you can see a jet. I remember vaguely one of the missions was to go and blow up a jet, you know, on a runway or something like that, or at least sabotage it. I can't remember what the exact mission was, but you know, that all plays into obviously the game as well. I think it's just an excellently composed picture all around. It really makes you want to just play the game, and that's like the biggest compliment I can give a cover. The Airborne Ranger logo at the top also is cool. It just looks like it's, you know, something that's been sketched on the side of a plane. And I only really noticed this now. The airborne part, it looks like it's in like a parachute shape, like as if you're coming down a parachute like you do in the game. I think that's what it's supposed to represent. Just done really well. Okay, I'll just show you a quick few alternate covers here. I don't know why they decided to release these. I guess they were releases for different systems at the time, but they also kind of released these as part of the Commodore 64 versions, so you got some really weird ones here. They decided to go the live action route with these, and this first one, it looks okay, I guess. There's nothing too bad about it. The background behind the guy looks really bad. It looks like it's shot in a studio, which it obviously was. It's just a green background with a really fake tree next to him. It looks really bad. Pointless cover as far as I'm concerned. The next one is basically a close-up of that dude's face. It looks better, it's composed better, but you know, it kind of reminds me of the modern Call of Duty covers, you know, those rubbish ones where it's just a close-up of a dude's face. So that just sends like, you know, chills down my spine. So it's better than the other one, I think, as far as composure goes, but it's still kind of, it's just weak. And the final one, yeah, I believe this was for the Amiga one. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments. But this is a well put together cover. It's just not drawn very well. It's very amateur hour, the drawing, compared to the first one. It's got all elements from the game. It shows everything really, really nice, but also the color scheme is odd. All this red and orange just blows everything out too much, and again, the artwork is not very good. It's just average at best. And then you go back to this first one, which is just drawn so meticulously. You just, you know, why even bother releasing the other one? Seriously.
Number 2.
And my second favorite is Sinbad and the Throne of the Falcon by Cinemaware. This is another one of their absolute gems. This is my personal favorite Cinemaware cover of all time. There's a lot of other ones I've left off this list. A bunch of them are Amiga games, that's why they're not included here, like, you know, Wings and It Came from the Desert. But this one, it's so great. The Commodore 64 version of this game is excellent. This poster though is exactly what Cinemaware does best. It's a throwback to, this is kind of the era, like 1940s, 50s, and even like right up into the late 70s. They were doing Sinbad movies and kind of these big grand Arabian adventures kind of things, and this one represents that perfectly. The drawing and the way everything is drawn, the characters are really realistic. It's very, very detailed. I love the look of it. Just like in the game, you gotta rescue the princess. I like the fact that he just picks her up like that and just, you know, is gonna carry on fighting. She's like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah. It's really funny. I like the green dress. It makes it like, adds a nice big splash of color to this whole kind of picture. And you can see the dudes in the front there, you know, the one right in the bottom right, he's freaking out and he's running away, and you're like, why? And then the guy behind him is putting up his hand like he's like just freaked out as well. And they're not really so freaked out by Sinbad, but he's just a lone dude. The guy on the left, he's thinking about carrying on to fight Sinbad, but you can see he's like might be stalling. And you can see below Sinbad's foot there's a lamp, and the genie has popped out behind him. I don't think Sinbad realizes that the genie's out. That's what everybody's freaking out about. They just don't want anything to do with that, because he could just wish them away or whatever. In the game, you actually can find a lamp and you can get 3 wishes, so that's part of the gameplay. And it's got the red in the background, which we've seen on a lot of covers so far here, which obviously signifies danger. And the good old yellow, like we've seen again, it makes everything stand out. That's why they use it so much. I think it works exceptionally well here. They use it behind the Sinbad and the Throne of the Falcon kind of logo, and it looks very cool, and it fits in with the smoke that's coming out of the lamp. I think this is just a absolutely beautiful kind of poster. It's just represents adventure at its finest. I definitely want to get this printed into a massive kind of like movie style thing and have it on my wall one day. Hopefully I can get that soon, because it's just such a gem.
And number 1.
And here it is, my number one Commodore 64 cover. This is for Renegade. It's an arcade conversion from the Taito arcade game. This was done by Imagine. It's quite a good arcade conversion. I like it. This was one of those games that I saw on the shelf. I bought it immediately, completely based on the cover. Now, when I set out to do this list, I had no idea this was going to be my number one because there's so many covers out there that I really like. But after looking over them, all of them for like ages, this one just stands out the most to me. I think it's because of the whole kung fu element and the amount of detail that's gone into this. I was a massive kung fu fan in the 80s and 90s, so this is just awesome to me. You got the main hero there. He kind of looks like Shang-Chi, the Marvel hero, you know, the kung fu guy, the master of kung fu. He definitely reminded me of him because I used to read those comics, and he's kicking the other dude in the neck there, and he's dropping his weapons. I just love the pose. It's just super cool, and he's in some like trashy alley. As you can see, it's like the most trashy alley you can possibly get. There's like a skull drawn on the wall, and there's graffiti everywhere. If you look at the bottom by his 1 foot, it says "I am Repo Man." That could be a reference to the Repo Man movie or just the Grim Reaper. Whatever it is, it's cool anyway. And below the girl's leg there, it says "I'm gonna kick your ass," and then it's like blocked out by a leg. You know what that's gonna say. And the girl behind him, she's like all like punked up, you know. She looks exactly like Pris, the character from Blade Runner. They definitely modeled her after that character, there's no doubt about it. And she's about to bash the hero in the head with that big club. So it's just like, uh-oh, what's he gonna do? You know, is he gonna spin around and foot sweep her? I'm pretty sure that's what he did, take her out. And if you look behind them, it's got that yellow spotlight that's on the wall. Obviously, like, you know, maybe the police or the helicopter is like shining a light down. It's also like an excuse to use yellow in the background, you know, that classic yellow that I've been talking about. It makes the front characters pop out more, so that's obviously the reason, but it works for this as well. And I like the way the Renegade sign is up on the wall. It almost looks like it's spray painted there. It just fits in with the background so well. So this is one of those covers where not only does the cover represent the game extremely well, and it just looks great. The kind of logos, wherever they position, they look fantastic too. I love the way the Imagine one is positioned, and the Commodore 64, it's like written in yellow. It looks like spray paint. I think that was done well. Even the Taito logo up in the right corner, it just matches in with everything. The complete cover is just absolute quality at its best. I just love this kind of look. So let's just take a quick look at the US version of this. So this is the Nintendo NES cover. The Commodore 64 cover for this game is exactly the same. So it's the same one. It's such a, you know, it represents the game for sure, but it's just such a letdown after the other one. Guy on the bottom left there who's walking towards the guy, you can see he's positioned weirdly. His leg would actually be off the platform. It doesn't even make sense. The guy that the hero is kicking also, if you look at the proportions of him, his hand is like massive. It's just out of proportion. There's a whole bunch of things in this picture that look weird. You know, it does represent the first level of the game pretty well, but it's just so rubbish. If you look at the other one, if you go back to this one, it's just like, wow. It's strange that they bothered to make that other one. It just doesn't make any sense. This one is so fantastic. I think it's 100 times better, and I just really love it. It's just simply my favorite Commodore 64 cover out of all of them.
And that's it. Those are my personal favorites. Obviously, like I said in the beginning, there's hundreds more that are excellent, and whatever your top 40 is obviously your top 40, and that's totally cool. This is by no means a specific kind of list that is telling you what is best and what is not. This is basically art, and that's totally up to your own interpretation of what you find pleasing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can like and subscribe, that'll be greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.